Dear Southwest Florida Jewish community, family, friends, and the Jewish community at large all over the world. This past Monday night, we lost a giant of a human being, a grand rabbi in the state of Florida, Rabbi Korf. Rabbi Korf was a shliach of the Rebbe. He was a shliach in Miami, but he was responsible for the growth of Chabad all over the state of Florida. My first interaction with him was, I was a student, I was in yeshiva, they were looking for a counselor in a summer camp. Rabbi Korf's son reached out to me, says he wants me to come down to help him out in the camp, to be a counselor of the oldest bunk. I said, sure, I'll come down, but I really wanted to, continue studying. He says, guess what, in the camp, at night, there's a yeshiva there, you can sit and study. So at the end of every day, after camp, we would sit and study in the Beis Medrash, and in the evening, when things quieted down, Rabbi Korf would come in to daven mincha Ma'ariv, and then we would sit down and talk to him and learning. And it was amazing how, we thought this Chabad rabbi running, institutions of schools and camps and outreach, he wouldn't be really focused into learning, but we were able to discuss with him Mishnah, Talmud, Kabbalah, Halacha, anything you want. He was clear, and he had tremendous insight, and he was able to engage with us on a very, very beautiful level. We grew a lot from that experience. So later on, when I got married, I wanted to go on shlichut. There's no better place to go on shlichus where you have the head Chabad rabbi who's into learning, and that's a passion of mine. So I called him up, and he actually set up some meetings in Southwest Florida, and we ended up moving here to Southwest Florida. Now we know the Rebbe taught us, after the Rebbetzin passed away, when someone passes away, "V'achai yitena liboy." The prophet, Ecclesiastes, King Solomon says, after someone passes away, it's important to learn. What can you learn from him? So I'd like to share with you a few powerful lessons I learned from Rabbi Korf. So the first thing is, when we came on Shlichus, we were here for many, many years. The whole south of Florida, we were growing and doing different programs and events, etc. And one day Rabbi Korf calls me up and he says, listen, it's time for you to bring out another shliach. I said, Rabbi Korf, we're barely surviving ourselves. Why don't you bring another shliach? He says, no, the Rebbe wants you to grow. I know logically it doesn't make sense, but sometimes you have to go above logic and just go ahead and do it. So I said, if that's the case, maybe let's not only bring one, let's bring a few more. He says, I can ask you to bring one, but if you want to do more, it's on your own. I said, well, I think I'm going to do it. Do I have your blessing? He said, sure, you have my blessing. And at that time, he brought down several more shluchim. We put a shliach in Naples, in Cape Coral, Bonita Springs, Port Charlotte, and thank God, his vision was correct. They've all been successful, and Southwest Florida has grown tremendously. And since then, more shluchim have came down, and hopefully with the inspiration of Rabbi Korf, will continue to, God willing, bring more shluchim to the area. So one of the things Rabbi Korf taught me was, don't ever get comfortable. You always have to expand, and sometimes if you don't see the expansion doesn't make sense, just do it. Because God wants us, like it says in the Torah, Ufaratzta, Yomma, Vakedma, Vatzvayna, Vanegba. We got to keep on expanding, we got to keep on growing. Another powerful lesson I learned from Rabbi Korf, I once went several years ago to the Ohel of the Rebbe on Gimel Tammuz, and Gimel Tammuz, thousands of people come from all over the world to the Ohel, and there's lines that take hours to get the few minutes to go into the Rebbe to say Kapitel Tillim. So I came into New York, I was there with my son, and we were walking towards the line, and we give a look, oh my gosh, there's a line for hours. And in the middle of the line, I see Rabbi Korf with his son, and it was a hot day, so I turned to Rabbi Korf and said, Rabbi Korf, you're the head rabbi in Florida. Come, I'll get you in. There's ways to bring in an elder chassid from the side. You won't have to wait in line. I mean, it's a long line. And he turned to me and he said to me, Yitzchok, that's how he called me. When you go to the Rebbe, there's no shortcuts. And it taught me a lesson in life. When you're going to the Rebbe, when you want to do something holy, there is no shortcuts. It means if you have to stand in line, hours, whatever it takes, whatever the commitment is, you got to do it, and you got to do it right. That was lesson number 2. And the third lesson I learned from Rabbi Korf, which was actually more on a personal level, I would call him about different questions, different challenges in the community, personally, whatever the issue was, and he had tremendous clarity. I would ask him questions on halacha, Jewish law. Matter of fact, when he built our mikveh, he came down and he inspected our mikveh that was kosher according to Jewish law, and all areas of Shabbat, kashrut, whatever the issue was, Rabbi Korf was a number to call, and he was on target in every single area, etc. So I went to New York one year for the Kinnis HaShluchim. The Kinnis HaShluchim, you have rabbis from all over the world come there. And I was walking from 770 Eastern Parkway, the Rebbe Synagogue. I was walking to Olei Torah, the place where they have all the different sessions and people would meet up. And as I'm walking, I see Rabbi Korf's walking with all his peers, and they're engrossed in some kind of a heavy discussion with all these, elder Chabad Hasidim, elder Chabad Shluchim. And I'm walking down the street, and he sees me, and he breaks away from that group, and he walks towards me. I was like wondering, Rabbi Korf, You're leaving your peers. You're in an intense discussion. Why is he walking over to me? He walks over to me and says, Yitzchok, that's how he called me, with an endearment. He says, what's happening with this and this subject, something that we were dealing with, some kind of challenge that we were trying to work out. And I tell him, Rabbi Korf, it's all fine. Enjoy your peers. You only come in for the weekend here for the Kiddush HaShluchim. And he told me, no. That is personal enjoyment and inspiration. But when I see a shliach that we're dealing with something and there's something that has to be dealt with, that becomes the priority. So I learned many lessons from Rabbi Korf. Just to recap, number one is you have to always think growth and expansion. That's number one. Number two, I learned from Rabbi Korf is that when it comes to holiness, you got to do it right. There's no cutting corners. And three, as busy as you get, whatever you're doing, always remember the details, always remember the individual, and don't get lost into your own spiritual high. If there's someone out there that needs help, stop what you're doing and reach out to them. I just want to finish off by saying, Rabbi Korf, you've been a tremendous inspiration to myself and many shluchim, not only in Florida but all over the world. We hope and pray we can continue the mission that you set out to make Florida a Jewish place, like the Rebbe told you, Yerushalayim of America, and very soon we'll all be reunited with the coming of Mashiach, all together in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. I want to send condolences to your beautiful family that's continuing your work, that you work so hard to build up, and they should continue, and you should be extremely successful, and ultimately bring the ultimate Gula, Hamitis Vashlema, where your whole family and all the Jewish people will be reunited once again with the coming of Mashiach.